There he is. There he is.
It's like Her, that show, but it's with Craig. I'm building a fake relationship with him in my head. I want to read you some quotes.
You want to read me some quotes?
Yeah, I do.
What is this related to?
You'll see. So, a little something from Edmund Burke. The only thing necessary for the triumph of evil, you, is for good men, me, to do nothing. Also, triumph over adversity, evil, you. That's what this marathon is all about. Nothing in life can't triumph after that. Wait, I got one from Gandhi here. Every worthwhile accomplishment, big or little, has its stages of drudgery and triumph. A beginning, a struggle, you, and a victory, me. What I'm referring to, Noelle, what I have been walking around barrel-chested all fucking day.
Yeah.
I kicked your in the fucking sticker war.
You screamed so loud I didn't even hear it.
Good. That's what the victory has raised my voice several octaves. And I'm just powerful.
Are we calling it now? Was it literally just a day?
I don't know. Like, we already got the payouts to donate. Was it just...
We keep it going. We keep it going. Fuck you, you pussy ass motherfucker. This is the shit I can't fucking stand. This is the shit I can't fucking stand is that you went online.
Here it is. Sorry, Noelle.
No.
Chelsea takes it strongly. First of all, I'm not even going to tolerate this from you because, bitch, when this first started, I was promoting both fucking stickers. I was like, hey, there's no wrong choice. It's for charity. And then you come in hot. You came in fucking swinging. You had the bear mace. And you just started spraying it from your dick hole all over the place, promoting only your sticker, telling your people to hashtag dunk on me. Wait, I used hashtags as quotes, but you know what I mean. I'm all excited and jazzed up on victory. You fucking started it, and then I had to go hard in the paint, and I had to hit up my friends from high school, and you know what? Victory is sweet. I'm like MLM, but I'm like, hey girl, I have a really good opportunity for you. And then I was like, emoji face.
No.
Yeah, that's what I had to do.
I'm refusing to acknowledge your victory. I'm not calling it yet. And this is before you opened your dumb bitch mouth and started ranting off some bullshit.
Gandhi, I've been Googling triumph quotes for victory, most famous victory speeches of all time. I've been relishing in this.
I'm not calling it. I'm not calling the race yet. We're still going. And, oh my god, the cutest dog in the whole entire world. Anyway, so sorry. This was a competition from the jump. Don't get mad at me that you posted our shit together because you wanted to kumbaya, some type of bullshit. That's not my fault that I played correctly from the jump. Second of all, I was in a strong lead until you had to go open your big dumb bitch mouth, let some big dumb bitch energy fall out of it by being like, Noelle said dogs don't go to heaven, so vote for me, and I'll bring pizza parties to every lunch at school. You stupid motherfucker! You stupid mother.
That's what the fight is about. I say dogs go to heaven. You're in the dogs don't go to heaven stance. I'm sorry, but you are the party you represent. You have to fucking own it. Own it.
Once again, you have equated God's words with my own. You need to take it
that's
up
what the
with
sticker
your
fight
man.
is about. The people have spoken.
You need to take it up with your guy.
The Gentiles, bitch, the Gentiles that I represent have spoken.
Your dude said that shit. I'm just a truth teller. I am just the one saying, hey, Chelsea, come over to my side where we don't believe in that fucking bullshit. We don't talk to that guy. And you say, I cherry picked Jesus or whatever the fuck.
Fuck you. Cherry picking is delicious. Have you ever had cherries straight picked off the vine? They're awesome. So, joke's on you, Noelle. I win again. I win twice. That's the second time. I have a victory for each hand today.
You have 0 victories because at the end of the day, your God doesn't believe dogs go to heaven.
Man, we thought you were the one who wanted to turn this into a sticker war. And I'm sorry, but I
Yep.
came out swinging.
I'm not calling it yet. You had to rely on lies, fables, and fairy tales to get your lead, and I'm going to come back. I'm going to absolutely dunk on you.
Yeah.
Absolutely dunk on you.
Dude, I
Call
feel
me
like
LeBron James because I'm gonna fucking dunk on you.
and also I never attacked you directly. I just said some people in all caps don't think dogs go to heaven. And the only way to defeat this is via sticker war. So I'm sorry that you felt really attacked by that. And also, like, the payouts have already happened. The money has been transacted. It's done. We done. Our sticker guru, Miss Kelly, has called it. She has sent us our messages saying that I won. She is sending us the money for our charities.
I would
Sounds
like
a wrap
to know.
to me.
I would like to know. It's not a wrap. The fight is never over. The Cold War doesn't end. I would like to know how many fucking stickers your partner purchased. I would love to know that
Ma'am?
information. I
Ma'am,
would love to know
How
that.
many stickers did your partner purchase?
I don't have one of those.
I went 3 times today.
You two-faced ass bitch. I would love to see. We need to get a trial happening. I demand a fucking recount. I demand a fucking recount. We won.
Dude, you can't even have a trial because it has to be by your peers, and you're so fucking below me in this sticker war. You're not even on my level, ho!
No way. No way. I'm calling it right now. We need a recount of the votes. Recount of the votes. I'm only counting one of Oliver's purchases as one ticket.
Oh, how the mighty have fallen, Noelle. It is you. You're sounding a little conspiracy theory today.
No way. No way. I'm just saying, fight fair, bitch. Fight fair.
Fight fair. You have cultivated a following. You started building your arsenal for this war. What am I going to do? Am I going to tweet to my LinkedIn about the stickers?
Yeah.
I'm just swinging with the fists I have, and they are the righteous fists of the 1,000 dog souls, and they're beautiful.
Yeah, the 1,000 dog souls that are lost and wandering because they don't go to fucking heaven.
Man. I'm the fucking Rory Ragman. I got every dog soul in a patch of fabric, and they just make me fucking stronger. I'm the most underrated DC hero of all fucking time. That's me, Ragman, but with dog souls and good dog souls.
No.
But for real though, I do want to give a shout out. I do have a shout out, which is unsticker related.
Okay, what's your shout out?
Zach Lillis. Zach, I sincerely hope you're listening to this. There was a tattoo thread in the Go to Hell group, and everybody was posting their tattoos. Yeah, everybody's tattoo's sick. Zach Lillis comes in with a fucking mystical elf Yu-Gi-Oh tattoo, and I fucking love it. I have thought about it all day. I have gone back to that tattoo. That tattoo is saved in my phone. I don't really save things unless it's screenshots that I'm sending to you. This is saved in my phone just so I can keep it near and dear to my heart. That was the best fucking tattoo I've ever seen.
Will you send it to me?
Absolutely. I it's not even a non-ironic love of Yu-Gi-Oh! When everyone's like, Chelsea, get back into anime. I went back and I rewatched Yu-Gi-Oh! And I remember the hype. It stands up. It's so fucking entertaining.
Oh shit, look how cute that is.
Yeah.
That is good.
She's part of this really epic combo that gets pulled out last minute, and everyone's like, ha ha ha, what's she doing? She's just chanting on the field. She ain't gonna do shit. And then she, much like all of my friends from high school, comes in last minute and fucking wrecks everyone. So I will say that Zach, you have the not to shit on anyone else's tattoos, but man,
that one really got you.
Oh my god, I was so excited when I saw it.
There were some really good contenders in there. I didn't even see that one. I left that thread just because I'm trying to stay off Facebook so I don't get cancer. But that's incredible.
Right? He's going to have a whole sleeve. So, Zach, please keep me informed. I'm genuinely interested. And now I kind of low-key want a Yu-Gi-Oh tattoo.
I think you should. I've got a tattoo coming up this month.
Ooh, are you getting your the start of your
Lord of the
wraith.
Rings.
Yeah, like for your underbutt, right?
Yep. Under the butt, getting the Witch King's mace. Let's go. June 24th with Ashes. Absolute killer when it comes to like just fantasy and anime. I'm just also like she does little black metal twists on some things sometimes. Just an absolute kill shot of a tattoo artist. So I'm very fucking excited to see what she does with this. Also excited to see how cute my little butt cheeks will look.
I'm surprised you haven't had a lower butt tattoo yet.
I know, I'm just coming. Well, you know what the thing is, and this might come as a shock to you. I actually hate getting tattooed. It is the worst thing that I've ever done, ever, and it is only getting worse as time goes on.
Yeah, I agree. I tapped out of my last one with my moths.
Mhm.
I couldn't fucking do it. Like
Yeah.
right on that knee bone and my shin. I was like, nope, ma'am, and I
Yeah.
was done.
Yep.
I feel like in the past I would like sit for like maybe 6 hours and be like, I'm good if you're good, and it was the tattoo artist who would call it because they had other
Yeah.
shit to do that day.
Yeah. Yeah. No, the longest I sat for was like 6.5 hours, and it was for my arm. And I was like, yeah, I'm fine. Totally fine
Yeah.
being here.
Oh man, she started the outline. Like even just the discomfort of standing weird when she was putting the stencil on. I was like,
Yeah, that's the realness. That's how you know, like, 30, flirty, and thriving, baby, is like you can't even stand to get the stencil on. You're like, I'm a little uncomfy.
yeah. No, like the soreness in my hip from just
Mhm.
having to lay in one position. I'm
Mhm.
still feeling it. Like in my
Yeah.
hamstrings are all tight.
Yeah. No, it's like for real. Like, and she's a quick hand, man, but it hits me different now. It hits me different. And I'm not ashamed to say that I purchased numbing cream.
I need to
Because
try that
you got,
my next
because
go
like,
around.
no joke, dude, I'm not even tripping. Like, it works 100%, but there's this weird, like, I don't know what you'd call that. There's this like weird air that comes along with using it that like it's frowned upon in the tattoo community. It's almost like a pay to play with pain. Do you know what I mean? Like if you
Oh
can't
yeah.
handle it, you shouldn't be fucking getting it. Like there's a lot of discourse on Twitter, which is interesting to see, where you have like half of like tattoo artists being like, dude, if it helps you sit, which will make me like produce a better product, absolutely use it. And then there's the other half who are like, if you can't handle the pain, don't fucking get it. And you're just like, shut up. Shut up. Do you not like science and technology and improvements? You know what I mean?
We have regressed into such a society where we gatekeep pain. Like
We are literally, dude, that's exactly what it fucking is. It's gatekeeping pain. It's so fucking silly. It's just like when people try to dunk on me for like talking about like Marxist theory and being like, as you say this from your iPhone. And I'm like, oh, what? Do you want me to go back living in a fucking cave and I'll
Right.
send out some smoke signals for you to get, you stupid fucking twat? Like, progression is progress. Just because people abuse it and do bullshit with it doesn't mean that we don't like it. Clown shoes, dude.
no, I think that you should just go full on like Soviet winter and just murder everybody and use the cold against them in the true Marxist way.
As I plan on doing with my numbing creams. Also, speaking of Soviet Russia, guess what we're talking about today?
My God, that was a good fucking segue. We're talking about how much Russia sucks.
Which is like, I have a love-hate relationship with Russia, but I will say that Russia in the 50s was absolutely horrific.
Oh my God. Dude, yeah, real talk. Russia in the 50s was not good. Specifically because they were like trying to bounce back from 2 world wars. They just did they did bad because like at this point in the 50s Stalin had been a communist dictator for like 20 years, and he's the fun guy who people are always like technically killed more people than Hitler in some places.
Yep.
And yeah, and at least 700,000 people were executed between like 1934 and 1939, and even more imprisoned during the Great Purge. courtesy
Yeah.
of Stalin.
I want to say that before we get into the true topic of today, that first of all, one of the best movies out there is Death of Stalin. Please watch it. It's so fucking funny. Second, not so funny, is that isn't it crazy how U.S. history, because we ended up using Stalin as an ally, towards the end of World War II, that we have grown up learning like that Stalin, like no one knows that Stalin put up numbers of genocide like Hitler. Like no one knows that unless you were to look into it yourself or be researching yourself or like into world history, not just like learning about American history. Like we have whitewashed Stalin's Great Purge, which is a fun way to say like Holocaust, genocide, like because it was an ally.
Yeah, it's
incredible, honestly. The PR campaign that had to go on to make Stalin look presentable and nice and cool because he joined, the Allied forces at the end of World War II to make him, to un-Hitlerify him is absolutely fucking incredible.
Yeah, and it's just like, why can't we just realize that people who are helpful to our cause are sometimes awful, and that's why we shouldn't participate in these wars or do our best to stop them, because then the lines of morality become so fucking blurred, and you wake up in bed with Stalin.
Yeah, it's true. And as another slow segue into the actual topic of today, much like their kissing cousins, Nazi Germany, Stalin and his army in Russia at this time were doing their own version of like Holocaust experiments. Like there was a Russian Mengele, and he did just as atrocious experiments and human torture. But again, like we said in the beginning, because Stalin and this team worked with us at some point and we were all, shaking hands and taking pictures and being like, we beat the Nazis, we had to dilute what Russia was doing at this time because, as we're going to learn, it was just as bad as Hitler's Germany.
Yes. And let's focus on a real small example now.
Please.
So just a few years before Stalin died, an impoverished seamstress, and I'm not going to apologize for any of my pronunciation in this episode because it is all correct. Her name was Yekaterina Krivoshlyapova. So
you fucking
Katerina,
slayed that dude.
Yeah, Yekaterina. We're just gonna the mom. The mom went into labor for a whopping 2 days. And at this time, the USSR did not have any ultrasound technology that was available, so they just weren't sure what was in store. A woman would come in and be like, I think I'm pregnant. And they'd be like, cool, let's hang out and see if that's true. After a really grueling delivery or attempt to deliver, this mom was given an emergency C-section. And the midwife was super jazzed. She was like, oh, twins! And then she pulls them out and then passes the fuck out.
Isn't that always a good sign? Isn't that such a great sign if you're, 48 hours into childbirth and then the nurse goes, oh my God, it's twins. And then she's unconscious. I think that's good news.
Fucking convulses. Unrelated, but when a girl that I knew from high school had a baby, and the baby was born with like a boxer's nose, which is just, it got squished in the birth canal and it will pop up after a few weeks. But it looked like this baby, like somewhat like, it looked like the baby's nose was made of clay and then someone dropped it and it was like, and like completely flattened. Every fucking picture that this girl posted of people with her baby was like kind of like a, and people trying to like put the nose back. Every fucking one, until after like 6 months, they were all erased. Like, I think she got sick of people like asking what was wrong with her baby's face.
Oh my God. I mean, that's, with peace and love, that's a lot to digest, visually. That's a lot. It takes a lot. I mean,
she had a picture of her husband holding the baby, like right when the dog, like still attached, handing it to him, and his face, he's just like, ah!
Horror,
like, he thought,
horror.
Like the nose bounced out, like, But
I've got a question. Do I know this person?
No.
I don't, because I know
I
someone you
don't.
went to high school with that had a baby in high school.
I don't think you know her. I really
Did they?
don't think you know her because I barely know her anymore.
Okay,
Like I
okay,
barely
okay,
knew her in high school.
okay. I was gonna say, did they cosplay? But no. So no.
No,
Okay,
no,
it's not that one person. Okay, great. Well,
no.
I would like to say, I hope no one takes this as baby bashing because I think all babies are ugly. So take that how you will.
Hmm. Well, they're not very cute if they're born vaginally. I will say they get all fucked up.
Yeah, they do get all
And
fucked up.
I'm saying that because my niece was born vaginally and she looked awful when she was born. We're all like,
Yeah, yeah, you gotta get squeezed out of that.
she's all bruised and stuff. It fucks babies up. It looks like they came out of a car accident.
Yeah, I'm not trying to say, but I am also trying to say so many things about childbirth just seem horrifically unnatural and not okay. Everything about childbirth is screaming, don't fucking do this. It's just like nature's almost trying to tell us to pump the brakes. And we're just like, it's fine. I want my baby to come out of me looking like it went 17 rounds with Mike Tyson. That's totally fine.
It's fine. So anyway, yeah. So mama has the babies, midwife passes out. And twins were not a scientific anomaly. Like they were just excited about twins then as we are now. Just like, twins.
Mhm.
Only these little girls were different. Because on that terrible winter morning of January 3rd, 1950, Mama Cat had given birth to conjoined twins. These little girls were born with two separate torsos and were attached just at the hips, sharing a set of legs that each girl independently controlled. They each got one leg. And there was a third useless leg that operated more like a tail than anything. It was kind of deformed and hung out the back. But the other one's functional. So, desperate to see her little girls, Mama Cat begged the doctors to let her hold them. And not really caring, like they were like, no, you birthed a mutant. You can't have them. And she's like, I don't fucking care. I want my babies. And she was so miserable and distraught that they weren't letting her see her twins that one of the nurses eventually relented and actually brought the girls to the mom, who obviously fell in love with them instantly. Like she was a monster. But unfortunately for her, this was Stalin's Russia because
Yeah.
at the time, all hospitals in the USSR were instructed to report any births of twins to the state so that they could be studied. And the main doctor in charge of this, his name was Peter Anakim. And he was Anakin, Piotr Anakim. He was the primary doctor who was studying twins at the time. And just like you mentioned, Noelle, a mini Joseph Mengele 2.0. He had a disturbing proclivity when it came to observing fucked up human behaviors in responses to torture. What the state did not account for when it came to these little girls who came to be known as Masha and Dasha was that they would be born to a mother that loved them. They were like literally surprise Pikachu face.
Mm-hmm.
And she refused to sign custody over to the state. She was just straight up like, no, I'm fucking keeping the babies. Like, I don't care. Like, they're coming home with me.
Yeah.
And the doctors, like, knew what was going on. They knew what was happening with this doctor who was studying twins. So they drugged up the mother with an anesthetic. And then in her drunken haze, they were like, oh, your baby's died. And then they kicked her the fuck out of the hospital. And that was
Gotta love it. Gotta love it.
Yeah.
Also, I want to say that if you look at Masha and Dasha's pictures of them as like young little girls, they are genuinely adorable. Like,
cute as a button.
they are so fucking cute. They look like little Gerber babies. Like, there is nothing like your friend's kid who had a smushed in nose because it got pushed out of a clamshell. Like, that was probably terrifying. Looking at these two girls, even though like they're conjoined, they are absolutely fucking adorable. And it just blows my mind that like obviously Russia in the 50s, Stalin's Russia, no one could fathom that like a mother would love a child with a disability, let alone like a mutation such as
they're like,
conjoined
no,
twins.
the baby can't contribute physically, so we're gonna make it contribute, wink, physically. Yeah.
Yeah.
So this poor woman goes home and thinking that her babies died, and she thought that for a very long time. But in reality, they were curried away secretly to a place called the Institution of Experimental Medicine in Moscow, where for the next 8 to 14 years, it's a little, accounts kind of differ. It was Russia in the 50s.
Mhm.
And they were subjected to insane and horrific abuse. So this doctor, Peter Anakin, and his gross obsession, he was obsessed with the girls from the jump, and he acted as if they were like literally bestowed upon him by God for him to torture.
I love that. Don't you love that when
It's
people
so fun.
use God as a way to hurt people?
Yeah, you know what? I do think that's super fucked up. Why not just go for a God that like loves dogs and admits them all into heaven? That's the world for me. But
He
look at what
doesn't
happens on
exist.
the flip side, Noelle. It leads to just evil.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so Masha and Dasha shared a blood system but had completely different nervous systems. So that means that despite having their own hearts and lungs, if one drank alcohol, the other would get completely fucking drunk as well.
But this is
So
also fun because while, yes, if one drank, the other one would get fucked up. If one got sick, the other one might not.
yeah,
It's like,
absolutely. Mhm.
honestly, I'm not trying to say, like, study these girls in a lab, but that is pretty fucking interesting.
It is interesting. If only there was a way to like tell the mom, like, hey, if you let us just kind of like observe them over the next couple of years, we'll pay for their medical treatment, and then they can be
Right?
happy and well adjusted. Yeah. If
Right?
only there was like some way. If only
If
there
only
was
there
some
was.
way.
If only there was a way.
No way. So according to the Mirror, quote, the women, as they were to become, were joined at the spine at an angle of 180 degrees, and they had one leg each. Between them, they possessed 4 arms, a separate small intestine, but they shared the same colon and rectum. They had 4 kidneys, but only one bladder, along with a
Also,
shared reproductive system.
can we pause there?
Yes.
Sharing a rectum. I would just like to break that down for a second.
Yeah, let's break it down.
How fucking unfortunate. How fucking unfortunate. Could you imagine? I mean, obviously, you know how like twins, even when they're not conjoined, have like a very special bond,
Mhm.
like it's what's the lore that like it's one soul shared among two people? I imagine you're very close with your twin, especially if you're identical. That's probably also terrifying. Imagine now that, but you have to sit next to them, and not just sit next to them. You're like hoisted over the side. You're dangling over the side of a toilet while they take a shit.
Well, you're both taking a shit. It's both of your buttholes.
But
Like,
what
there's
if
only
they
one
ate?
butt.
But what if they ate it?
Yeah,
You
that would
know?
be like if one of you ate like 50 hot peppers just to
Yeah,
fuck up the other one.
Yep.
That would be annoying. Also, how do you designate like the wiping hand? Like, no, you
Oh
fucking
my
ate it, you
god.
wipe.
That is honestly, Chelsea. I'm not even trying to like gas you up right now. That is the best fucking question you've
Right?
ever asked. That is the
I
genuinely the best fucking question you've ever asked.
Yeah, like are
Who
they because they
wipes?
each have limbs.
Mhm.
You know, there's 4 arms.
Mhm. Yeah.
Like, what if you're
Who
just not in the
does?
fucking mood that day?
Who is in charge? Also, can you imagine how awkward they both go to wipe at the same time and they like graze hands? They're like, no, I'll do it.
No, allow me. And then they do the whole like
Yeah.
hand swirl and then like take a bow.
Damn, that is a great fucking question.
Oh man, I wish we could ask them.
Me too. R.I.P. Spoiler
Yeah.
alert.
Spoiler alert, they don't live. Okay, so yeah, so they have one bladder and a shared reproductive system. They each had their own hearts and lungs, but shared a blood supply. They had separate nervous systems, meaning that one could become ill while the other was fine. So, for example, during childhood, one twin got measles, but the other did not.
Incredible. Honestly, I'm not trying to say anything that happened here was like justified. It's horrific, horrible. They should, have been tried for war crimes and crimes against humanity. But that is fucking interesting.
Imagine being like the sick twin and the other twin wants to go out and you're like, oh, fine, just don't wake me up. And you just go limp. like have like a little kitchen cart and they just cart you around. And they're like, what's wrong with them? You're like, oh, they got the measles, but I'm fine. Like,
well, if you've seen pictures of the girls later in their life, they both use a crutch. So there is a version of reality where one of them doesn't feel well, has the measles, is napping, and the other one is just dragging them along for the ride.
yeah. I mean, it makes sense because if you're not sick and you want to go out and the other one doesn't feel like going out, you just be like, well, then go to fucking sleep.
Yeah, and like I don't mean to spoiler alert for later on, but they have completely polar opposite personalities.
Right.
So there for sure is like the social butterfly, charismatic, wants to go out and have a good time sister, and there's the other one who's like, bah humbug, don't talk to me, I'm gonna binge watch like everything on Netflix sister.
Yeah. That would be hard to navigate. Like, do you just have to
Could
flip
you
a coin?
imagine? Yeah, like
No.
what is that? What is that? I honestly like the fighting. Like you already innately fight your siblings. Imagine if they're physically attached to you and you're complete polar opposites as human beings and personalities. It would actually maybe be an easy life for me because I think I would have killed my conjoined twin. I think I would have strangled them.
Yeah. And you're like, oh, we're just no need to look into it. This is just what happens with conjoined twins sometimes.
Exactly.
So some examples of how the twins were treated was that they were kept in a glass cot in a laboratory. I always want to say laboratory. A laboratory where scientists would either drop the temperatures to freezing or subject them to extreme heat. And while they would test the body's ability to handle extreme temperature changes, they would force the girls to stay awake for dangerous periods of times and starve them nearly to the point of death. And not only that, but they would burn or freeze certain parts of the girls' bodies and inject them with like super dangerous substances, like fucking radioactive materials. Mm-hmm. And then they would just electrocute one twin to see how the nervous system of the other would react. Like, again, like real Joseph Mengele shit.
Yeah, Joseph Mengele who? Like, that is just... I'm not trying to say... I know that there are some controversial sciences that had to exist for us to be where we are today. I would even like to say, like, some animal testing of, like, cancerous materials, like, it had to happen so we can know the results. But if you inject radioactive material into a person's body... I have a very strong feeling, and I am not a doctor, but I have a very fucking strong feeling that something horrible is going to happen. And we probably don't need to test it to see exactly what it is because we just know that it's horrible and probably like cancer, maybe like their fucking body melting. Like we don't, why, we know. Yeah. We know enough. We know like enough.
Literally freezing or burning one twin and then asking the other one, like, does that suck? They'd be like, well, fucking yeah, because you're burning and freezing my twin. And they'd be like, fascinating, but can you feel it? And they'd be like, no, like, not, like, they just, like, they 100% understood how these girls functioned, but they just acted like they needed to test it. And it was really just state-approved sadism. Like a sadomasoch.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, absolutely. They would punch one twin in the face and then look at the other one and be like, did you feel that? And they're like, no, but can you fucking stop?
Yeah, like, I am emotionally objecting to it. And they're like, we need to do more tests.
Yeah. And horrific. There's no fucking reason for it.
No.
There's no fucking reason for it.
Again, they could have done something like, we're going to give this twin a vitamin that helps vitamin D. We're going to test the other twin in 2 weeks and see if their vitamin D levels have also gone up. Thank you and have a good day. Like, there's ways to test it without the torture, right? Yeah. Like, good God.
Yeah. And also, I'm not trying to shit on sciences as a study, but what's the fucking point? What the fuck are you gaining from doing human torture research on conjoined twins?
Zero things. It's just like, I think it's just like, honestly, so people could have like, it's like these creepy doctors who pull one over on ignorant officials and they're like, hey, listen up. There's a lot of shit going on in the world, and if you want to progress and if you want to be a superpower, then we need to get our hands dirty. And people are like, yeah, okay. And they're like, so you just got to look the other way. They look the other way, and then people like this Peter and Kim are just it's like a serial killer playground. Like all of the torture but none of the consequences.
But yeah, like that's the thing that doesn't make any sense to me is even like Elevator pitching this. No one is like, if I inject the twins with the conjoined twins with radioactive material, I will then come up with the formula that's going to get us to the moon. Like there's nothing you fucking gain from it.
Well, dude, it's the lies we tell ourselves, right? They were like, well, the Nazis did it, and the Nazis almost took over the fucking world. So there's got to be something there. Like, I think it's just the lies they tell themselves. Like, they're just justifying their shittiness.
Yeah.
To the point of, like, national pride. It's like, oh, I don't want to do it, but Mother Russia needs to be on top. And this is how we get there.
I mean, I guess I like understand what you're saying, and I understand that, but also, like, what? You know what I mean?
It doesn't make sense. Yeah. No. It's like I'm not gonna like walk into someone's house and start like kicking their elderly mother because I want my credit score to improve. I'm like, these two things aren't like they're not connected. Like human torture isn't gonna like open up jobs in our economy. It's
well also because like I'll even play like devil's avocado and say there are forms of human torture that may give us information. Like there are all those really controversial science experiments that happened in the 50s and 60s, even in the United States. Like there was that girl who was like grown up in an attic or something like that, and it taught people at least a baseline understanding of nature versus nurture. Like I think her name was Jeannie. I don't know if you remember that from like Psych 101. But like, you know, we or when they would get twins and separate them at birth, like there are some things that we did that are clear human abuse, but we did get some fucking information off of it that is interesting and does slightly and unfortunately progress certain sciences, specifically about like the psychology of humanity and like the way that the human mind develops and blah 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 blah. But like, what does torturing a conjoined twin get us? Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I don't know, but I assume it has to do with Antarctica. That's all I can say. They got to connect somehow, and I don't know how.
I mean, all I'm saying is I would love to hear, and by love, I mean hate. I would be interested to know what they said to get this passed. What got the stamp of approval by Stalin to say, you know what? Like, yeah, let's inject one conjoined twin with radioactive material and see how the other conjoined twin reacts, because clearly everyone in the population is a conjoined twin, and this will be very valuable information for us. Like, I would just fucking love to know what they said. Or
dude, honestly, they wanted their own Einstein. We got Einstein, and they're like, fuck, dude. And then they just put all their eggs in one basket, and then they cut in too deep, and they're like, we got to just keep backing this guy, because bad things will happen if not.
I mean, maybe that's also it. Also, maybe we're giving them too much credit.
No, maybe they were just fucking Stalin-led Russian state scientists in the fucking 50s, and that's just the name of the game. Yeah,
maybe he genuinely walked into Stalin's office and he was like, "Hey, I have the craziest thing to tell you." And he was like, "What?" He was like, you'll never believe, I just came across some conjoined twins. Can you fucking believe that? And Stalin's like, what? Conjoined twins? You know I love twins. He's like, yeah, imagine they're connected to the hip. Hear me out. Wouldn't it be crazy? You know, I'm a crazy guy. That's what you love about me. Wouldn't it be crazy if like I studied them and I would do things like, I know this is going to be wacky wheels.
Hold up. I'm Stalin right now and you're Peter. So I'm just like, hold up. Mm-hmm. Do you want to take twins and study?
Yeah.
I'm not, no.
And, but listen to this though. They're conjoined at the hip. Okay. They have one asshole.
Yes.
They have one. They have one asshole, and I take them and I study that asshole. And by study it, I mean I will. And I know
so far.
I know you were like a little hot and cold, but this is going to sell you. I'll punch one in the face, and I'll see how the other one reacts. How about it?
And then it's just fucking explodes of semen because he's so into it. He's like, "Oh, I love it!" And then he gives birth to 50 children right then and there, and then he kills all of them.
Yeah. I honestly think that's where maybe the conversation went. I'm trying to be too rational about it. So, yes. Anyway, we're abusing these two girls.
Yeah, for hashtag science.
Mhm.
So there were eventually some rumors did spread because it wasn't like they really tried to keep it quiet about a quote unquote two-headed girl who was being raised in a Russian science experiment.
Yeah, thank God Facebook wasn't around then because
right?
the word would have got out immediately.
Oh my God. It would have been like that. What was it? That like Kofi 2012 or whatever. It would have been that.
Kofefe?
No, not Kofi. I don't know. Kofi 2012. And everyone was like, they just need coffee, but they don't know how to spell it.
Oh, you're saying Coney.
Coney! I was getting Gaddafi and Coney mixed up and making a Kofi. Yeah. Anyway, fucking, oh my God. So they ended up getting transferred, and they got sent to a place that was called the Central Scientific Research Institute of Traumatology and Orthopedics, where their third leg limb was amputated, and then they were actually taught how to walk. Mm-hmm. And then eventually they were moved to a boarding school for children with motor impairment. And the girls actually did describe this as like the best and happiest time of their lives.
I mean, but okay, with, I love that for them, but also bars on the fucking floor. If your life was spent in a Russian torture science prison, the boarding school is fucking great.
You're like, this is the fucking
incredible. The boarding school is Disneyland. Like, but really, that sounds fucking awful.
They're like, we're gonna take you out of this hell. And we're going to send you to school. And you're like, oh, God. All right, potato. Let's fucking do this, I guess.
Yeah.
We say, in our nice American cush upbringing. We're like, school was boring. I had to do math.
I didn't like school.
Yeah. The food was gross, so I just ate chips at lunch. And my mom gave me money every day. Ugh. Anyway, I'll check my own privilege. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm checking it.
And so they were, but when other people asked about like the abuse that they had actually endured, they weren't too sure because one thing that the scientists didn't account for was the power of the human brain, and they actually blocked out most of the torture that they went through. And it wasn't even until they were told about the abuse or a little bit of their upbringing that they even realized that they were born conjoined. They literally thought that they were two separate twins who the Russians had sewn together in the lab.
Jesus fucking
Yeah. They're like, we just thought we were an experiment, because that's how they were fucking treated.
Yeah.
And eventually they did find their birth mother, and they reunited with her in 1985. And then at that point, they also had two brothers that they didn't know existed. And it was happily ever after. That's the end of the story.
Oh my God, I totally believe you, because that sounds totally accurate.
Yeah, no, just kidding, because you can't fucking... You're right, you can't fucking subject somebody to that sort of abuse and think that their life is just going to be good.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the twins. So we have Dasha. Or Dasha, I don't know. My emphasis.
I like Dasha.
Feel free to...
I like
Dasha. Okay. So Dasha grew up to be like quiet, inquisitive, thoughtful, submissive, like all like relatively good things. Like people who met Dasha would only describe her in a good light. And she would definitely get a read on people's feelings. She was absolutely empathetic. And she was just an overall sweetheart. Like, you wouldn't have known what she was subjected to having met her, because she was just like a fucking well-rounded goddamn delight. And Masha, on the other hand, grew up to only be what we would describe as a psychopath. And not a psychopath and like hashtag psychopath, but like actual designated, diagnosed psychopath.
I mean, can you blame her?
No. I won't. But Julie Butler, a British journalist, she had like a super fascination with the twins because she saw them on television where they were begging to be released from state care and allowed to live their own lives. And this was well after they were adults. Mm-hmm. And so Julie saw them on TV, and she always kept kind of an eye on them because she was interested. And as she progressed through her career, she kind of found everything kept leading back to the girls. And eventually she had enough clout to reach out to the girls for the sake of an interview and for them to be like, yeah, okay, because It's like some random person reaches out for an interview versus like The View reaching out for an interview.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're like, oh, okay, like I know who you are. Absolutely, I'll give you an interview.
Yeah.
I was gonna say Walter Cronkite, and then The View came in next. I'm
Yeah,
not sure
I'm
if I'm
glad you
proud
did
of
say that.
either.
I'm
Okay,
glad you did not say that.
Thank you.
I'm not saying The View was a good choice, but you know, it's like what Katie Couric reaches out. You know, she's a pretty
Yeah.
well-known interviewer.
Oprah.
You know,
Yeah.
yeah,
I don't know
Oprah.
why.
Oprah.
Super blanked out on that. So what originally started out as just kind of like an inquisitive message eventually turned into a 15-year friendship. And Julie actually moved her entire family, like her husband and her children, to Moscow so she could be closer to the twins specifically.
I kind of love that. I mean, like initially when you first hear that like this woman was obsessed with these conjoined twin girls to the point that like as her career got bigger and broader, she was like, I now know that I can reach out to them successfully. That does kind of make you feel icky a little bit. But also knowing that like these girls have had kind of like nothing in their life, like no stability, no genuine friendship, like there is a little tiny piece of hope in humanity that's like this is adorable. I love this for them.
Right. And not to like misalign Julie too much, like she probably did definitely make money off of the girls, but any significant money made off of the girls went to the girls.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah. And she even helped Masha write her own personal biography. And Julie published her own book that was called The Less You Know, The Sounder You Sleep. And the funds from that also went to like a fund for the girls. And it was like tens of thousands of dollars. It was enough to essentially set them up for the rest of their life.
I love that.
Yeah. And so Julie is a sweetheart. Like she did make some money off of them, but most of the money went to the girls.
Yeah.
And
also, shout out to that book title, The Less You Know, The Sounder You Sleep, specifically talking about like what the Russians did to these two girls. Like, yeah, of course. Shout out Julie. Shout out Julie.
Still in print. It is available to buy. I'm not going to tell you where to buy it, but if you were to go to a specific retailer, they are selling the hardcover used for as little as $3.99.
No shit. A specific retailer that we all know.
Rhymes with Mamshmashwan.
Recently divorced, right? No, that was Gates. Just kidding. He's been divorced for a while.
Yeah. So yeah, it talks about the twins in their life. And so Julie has actually given like a multitude of interviews about the girls, and she's even participated in some documentaries about their experiences in Russia. And she was one of the first ones to actually label Masha as a psychopath. And she did an interview with, from what I understand it, is like an online news source called McLean's. Okay. And she stated, quote, and this is going to be kind of a long one, but I thought it was all good enough to read. So she said, quote, the first time I met them, Masha was the chatty one and charming and cracking jokes. Dasha was quieter. Then their true personalities emerged. Masha was self-centered and egotistical, bullying, greedy, but also quite charming as psychopaths can be. In some ways, she enjoyed the notoriety of being so special. But she was also tough and resilient, and seen by Dasha as being the strong and supporting sister. Dasha was self-effacing, kind, gentle, generous, and quiet. Masha was better able to cope with the disability because she was uncaring and incapable of love or empathy, so she didn't care what people thought about her. Whereas Dasha cared terribly. She hated going out, but Masha would just shout at people who looked at them. And I do believe, having researched psychopathy, that all those traits were there in Masha. She had lack of empathy, callousness, manipulation, pathological lying, arrogance, and total control of the partner, whereas Dasha became an empath. I believe they both suffered from childhood detachment disorder, having been taken from their parents and put in laboratory conditions, and essentially medically tortured for many years, end quote. Which is so, I think she gave these interviews after the girls died, so I think she had some tact to not like full on be shitty to Masha. But and Masha definitely used her more dominant and psychopathic personality traits to control her sister, with some even believing she was like secretly a lesbian, and which is fine, but because of that, she forced Dasha to dress very, very masculine and cut their hair short in traditionally more male ways. So when they were little girls, very stereotypical looking little girls, like the big dresses, the bows, and then when you look at them later, they do look very masculine.
Yeah.
Not you wouldn't necessarily clock them as female from the jump.
No. Also, I mean, when they describe her as like the other twin is like submissive and quiet and, empathetic, like I don't think you become easily that way if you don't have that like big boisterous controlling personality next to you.
Yeah, it's kind of like the waxes and wanes, or like the yin and yang. Like she was filling the spaces that her sister did not occupy, and vice versa.
Yeah, exactly.
And Dasha was very, very feminine, but she was just absolutely strong-armed into dressing in a way to help keep male attention away from Masha. And it didn't work. Dasha eventually fell in love with a boy named Slava, who she met at school for invalids. Their words, not mine.
Nice fucking clarification.
Thank you. That's just how they like speak about. I think I felt okay, so I could have edited it out, but it's like also important to be like, this is how they were thought of. Like just because they got out of this terrible medical lab, like they were not free and clear to be happy in any means. So despite Masha being allowed to express herself pretty sexually, like she would be very touchy-feely with women and kiss them, she would not allow her sister to express any sexual actions with Slava, period, point blank. And I don't fucking know how this works, but Dasha did try her best to get some alone time with Slava, and she would drink like a lot of alcohol because Masha could not hold her liquor. So Masha did not drink, and Dasha could hold her liquor a lot better. So Dasha could drink enough to get Masha to pass out, but still be awake. So oftentimes, So oftentimes, like if Dasha wanted to hang out with her boyfriend Slava, she would just fucking pound him down until her sister was either absolutely passed out and incapacitated or just too drunk to do anything about it. Because so like if Dasha tried to like initiate sex with her boyfriend, like Masha would attack them both. So it couldn't happen. God. So they would incapacitate her so that they could, maybe
Jesus.
fucking.
Jesus Christ. Okay, this is a tough one for me to get. This is a tough one for me to chew on because, like, I get that's not fucking cool for Masha to be like, I can, like touch all the titties and kiss all the girls, but like you can't have a moment with your guy. No way. Like that's fucked up. Like that's fucked up. But I don't know
if we swing in pendulums here.
Yeah,
this is a bit rapey.
This is a bit much. You know what? I wouldn't even say a bit, but also hear me out as a protector of Dasha. If you are
me too. We have to protect her.
Well, we have to. If you are two individual women, but you share one piece of fine china, is it still, a little rapey? Like
right? It's
the jurisdiction. See, this is what they really could have used the studying of the conjoined twins. So how do you feel about, you know what I mean? Like, just asking them a series of questions rather than injecting them with radioactive material.
Right. Yeah. Like, how does, who wipes? Like, we could have learned so much.
Oh my God, really the only fucking thing we needed to know, and we still do not know.
No, and we'll die not knowing. Because this is where it gets a bit sticky. The girls were not very educated about their reproductive organs. They did share reproductive organs, like one uterus, things like that, only 2 ovaries. But Dasha once, like, commented when she was asked about it. She was like, it's fine because we have 2 vaginas. And so that has not been confirmed. All accounts say no. I was listening to an interview with Julie Butler, and she's the one who kind of clarifies this, where she was like, it all looked like one to me. Because at one point, when Dasha made the comment, she's like, no, it's fine. We have two vaginas. She had Julie Butler. She kind of showed her and she was like, see? And Julie Butler got just kind of a glance and was like, okay. And I think it's like the lies we have to tell ourselves. So it's not confirmed that there was multiple openings, but likely, no.
Yeah.
One vagina
Yeah.
was utilized, and
Yeah. Well,
because there was only one vagina to utilize.
for my sanity, I'm gonna also pretend with the girls, and I'm gonna say there were two, even though I know in my heart there was one. I'm gonna also pretend.
And it's also just like the philosophy of it too. Like, you got one vagina, but you got two minds. So is it whoever's utilizing the vagina, you like gets ownership over it? You know, like Masha's incapacitated. She doesn't really have a choice anymore. So now it's like Dasha's driving. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we have one car, two drivers. If I'm upstairs taking a nap and you take it for a drive, is it Grand Theft Auto?
I don't think so. And I think that's
don't know either.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah.
Absolutely stunning sentence. You said they're jealous.
I don't know how to think about it. It's like somebody who's very much like, fuck rapists, burn them alive. Like, in this, it's like, dude.
Yeah, I don't know. I agree. I do think there's something to hash out and maybe workshop at a table about, one vagina, two minds. But for the sake of these girls' horrific past and tumultuous upbringing, I'm going to go ahead and believe that there was two vaginas.
Yeah, like I need slam poetry to tell me how I feel in an aggressive way, but I'm not sure yet. And believe it or not, they weren't really known for being very friendly with one another.
Oh, no fucking shit.
Masha would beat the shit out of her sister and just berate her nonstop. It got slightly better as they got older, but like most people who met them would describe the power imbalance between Masha and Dasha as just disturbing at best. And their living conditions were no better. So even though they were technically released into more humane state care,
is there such state care?
Yeah.
Is there such a fucking thing as humane state care? Like, let's just call it
probably not. Probably not in communist Russia.
No, not anywhere, baby. Not fucking anywhere.
No,
especially not in communist Russia.
I did like a clinical at old folks' home. I would rather slit my wrists. I've been to nice ones that are nice, but baby, you got to pay to play for some of those places, and Masha and Dasha could not pay to play.
No, they could not.
They lived in what I would describe as a literal broom closet for the last 20 years of their lives. Yeah. And they weren't really treated better by their fellow Russian citizens either, in a very weird way. They were sensationalized. Like, people absolutely fucking loved them, and they were portrayed as like the sweethearts of the state. And people would just kind of ignore what the reality of their situation actually was, just because the propaganda machine of Soviet Russia was insanely powerful. Yeah. Russian articles would portray their mother as being some crazy woman who was incapable of caring for special babies. They were like, their dad wouldn't raise them. He wasn't interested. She was incapable. And if it weren't for Russia and the state stepping in and taking the girls, they would have been abandoned or left for dead by their mother. Like, absolute smear campaign.
Yeah.
And even when they got older and were able to actually talk about some of the abuse that they did endure, or like the fact that like growing up in a lab wasn't necessarily happy, their treatment still didn't get better. In one example, so like in Russia, there's specialists called narcologists, and their job is to just help people get sober. Yeah. So one journalist called the girls and faked their accolades and offered to help them with their drinking issues. They were like, oh yeah, I'm a narcologist. Like, I know you guys are broke. I will absolutely help you with your issues for free. And the girls were like, yes, please. We have like, absolutely. Like, we need help. This isn't a good way to cope. So instead of what happened was this journalist faking as a narcologist instead got the girls super drunk, and all of the things that the girls told them, specifically Masha, they published in an article.
Jesus fucking Christ.
Yeah, and it was everything from all of their sexual escapades, which weren't really possible due to their timeline, but still, like, embarrassing information, and even like ridiculing the girls' looks. Like, oh, these girls want to act like they're fucking playboys, but really they're hideous.
Oh my God.
Very terrible. And it caused like huge distrust of the media for the girls, and they were just kind of betrayed everywhere they looked.
Yeah, I mean, like, honestly, the fact that they even trusted someone enough to answer that call says how much humanity these two had, and then to be shit on afterwards, I can't. Like, I can't even fathom it.
Well, and that's like another reason to kind of like give a thumbs up to Julie Butler, because she came in guns blazing and made it like her career to clear the girls' names. Like, she did let Masha write like a really terrible biography, which was mostly untrue. But what Julie Butler ended up posting about the girls is like where most of the actual and factual information of the girls' lives comes from. But the downside to Julie Butler's work is that this is where people really see the abuse that Dasha ended up enduring from her sister.
Yeah.
And lots of various accounts, she would be beaten to a bloody pulp until Masha would pass out from the ass kicking she dealt onto her sister. Like, she would punch and kick and freak out on her sister until she would just faint. And then Dasha, who kind of would go limp during it, her only times of solace was when Masha would pass out and she could clean herself up from like all the dried blood from the attack.
My God. Bro, fuck that stupid bitch. Oh my God. What a terrible, rotten fucking cunt. I'm not blaming her because she went through some shit, but God damn it. This is also, isn't this a weird kind of like case study that's very oddly specific, but about that, right? That like, it's the same kind of conversation that happens around serial killers, where they're like, there are a lot of fucking people who have traumatic brain injury, who suffer abuse by the hands of their caretakers, who have been sexually assaulted, who, you know, maybe had a bit of a, you know, moment of animal abuse or whatever, and like they recovered from that, like got better about it. There are people who like have had shitty fucking cards dealt to them, and they don't end up murdering people. You know, like, it's not like, because people are so quick to say like situation, circumstance, environment, right?
Nature
Like
versus nurture,
exactly
all
like
that.
that's what creates these people. But here you literally have two conjoined twins who have been forced through horrific, terrible traumas, atrocities, abuse, and torture. One of them is a fairly well-adjusted, empathetic, sweet, kind being, and the other one is a fucking monster. Like, what more of a case study do you need about that? That it does not have anything to do with what happened to you, but you yourself and the human condition.
Yeah, it's little more than a coin flip. Yeah, that's like right on the nose. It's also scary to think like, man, how close were we? Like, am I one stubbed toe in my childhood away from being like a fucking murderer? You know? It's like,
I mean, well, that's the whole entire, like, to make it about something completely unrelated, that's the whole, like, you know, Joker v. Batman one bad day type of thing, where he's like, you are one bad day away from being me. And then he's like, absolutely no, I am not. And it's true. And it's true because it has nothing to do with the conditions that happen to you. Those have an effect, yes. But at the end of the day, it's how you choose to move forward and handle those things. And
Dude,
what a
seriously.
better fucking study of that than these two sisters.
Yeah, it's just Batman was even like, I've been done having bad days. It's like Dasha's the fucking Batman and Masha's the Joker.
Yeah.
Brucey versus like Joe Cool, Jack Napier, you know?
Yep.
And horrible. So believe it or not, Masha was so even more cruel towards her sister when it came to her relationship with Slava. And Dasha actually tried to hang herself when she was only 18. There wasn't much information about this, but I imagine it was like another scenario where she got Masha drunk so that she could like have more free reign. But despite all of it, like doctors always had offered before, like, hey, we can try to separate you guys. Like it might, and they always fucking refused. Every single time they refused. And what would be her last act of what you can either call cruelty or mercy? Masha died of a heart attack on April 17th, 2003, at only 53 years old. And for the first time in her entire fucking life, Dasha was completely alone.
Oh man. Also, what did they do at that point?
Let's another ethical question. So the doctors tried to spare her feelings by lying to her. They pulled the card of Masha's just in a coma.
Okay.
And is just sleeping. But they didn't account for the fact that Dasha was literally aware that half of her body was no longer functioning.
Jesus
she
fucking Christ.
Yeah, she could feel that her heart was beating at half capacity because she was so used
to
Dasha, like she was so used to Masha's heart doing half the workload.
That is fucking dark, dude. That is fucking dark.
Yeah, so she knew it from the jump. She could not feel that heartbeat because we only have one heart, but I imagine that if your heart stops, like imagine having two hearts and half of it, like one heart shuts off, like we would have to be inherently aware of it.
Yeah, you would kind of feel it a little bit.
Yeah. And Dasha was like, oh, okay, well, half of my body isn't working anymore.
Yeah.
And I know it's not working.
Jesus fucking Christ.
And so they let Dasha sit next to the corpse of her sister for 17 hours before they were finally like, okay, like, we're going to officially declare her dead.
Unbelievable, dude. But also, I know that I'm kind of spoiling this a little bit, but like, why the fuck? Why the fuck? If you know what you do medically about how those two sisters are conjoined together, there is no fucking version of scientific reality that you go, yeah, let's just let it hang out.
Yeah. It's like, you're going to be concerned about my fucking feelings now?
Yeah, literally.
Ma'am? Yeah, so, but by that point, like, from the fucking jump, the second Masha died, her body started to decompose, and the bacteria from her corpse started to ooze into Dasha, giving her blood poisoning.
No fucking shit, yeah.
So the 17 hours it took for Masha to die was just the slow burn of killing Dasha, and so it took another 17 hours for Dasha to die from, like, the toxicity of having a corpse attached to her body.
Pieces of shit, man.
And stoically, she passed the time in silence, and all the while, the doctors were lying to her about her sister's condition. But she quietly knew it was the end, and she just fucking took it until she, too, passed away.
Wow.
And ultimately, like, the girls were birthed into a lie, and they would leave the world under the same fucking circumstances of doctors being bastards.
Absolutely fucking horrific. Also, how just absolutely disgusting that they could have even attempted to separate the twins and give Dasha a chance to live, like, on her own.
And they could have.
Yeah.
Instead, they waited until it was way too late.
Yeah.
And everybody and this isn't even like me being sarcastic, where I'm like, oh, everything ended up great. Everyone involved in the twins' lives went on to live fucking great lives.
Of course they did.
The woman who stashed them in the closet for 20 years still works. Still works for, like, she went on to live a great life. She was like a state official. Peter Anokhin died in Moscow at the age of 76. Fucking lauded worldwide as the pioneer of psychophysiological feedback. Dude is a saint in that category.
Mm-hmm.
The girls' mother, I know I said that they had met up and were reunited in 1985, but unfortunately, shortly after that happened, Masha straight up disowned the mom, disowned the whole family, and she cut off all fucking contact with them. So mom died alone. And
Yeah.
all that money that the girls had made from their biography went missing right after they died.
Yeah. Yep.
The,
Yeah.
yeah, the only positive note, like the only, like, if there's a hero in this story, the only fucking positive note is that Julie Butler, that reporter, made sure, like, fucking fought tooth and nail to make sure that the girls' bodies were cremated so that they could not be a scientific study ever fucking again. And that's it. That's how it ends.
Unbelievable. Unfucking believable. Absolutely shout out to Julie. Also, we know that money didn't go missing. It landed in the hands of the state that the girls got from the biography is unfucking believable. Just born in pain and suffering and tragedy and die in pain and suffering and tragedy.
Yeah, I thought I had the wrong person when I looked up Peter Anakim. When I like pulled him up, I was like, okay, Wikipedia this guy real quick.
Mm-hmm. Because he's just like celebrated.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm like, who? This can't be the right guy. And it's like, oh, he's known for his theory of functional systems and like all this stuff. And I'm like, who? I was like, this can't, because that happens all the time where I'm like looking up people for episodes and I'm like, I think I have the wrong one.
Yeah.
I didn't see anything until I specifically typed in his name with the twins and had to go deep to even find what he did to them. And even then, all I got were vague descriptions. What I read on the episode was as detailed as I could find.
Unfucking believable, of course. And like, I know that Russia has its own system of sanitizing and censoring, but let's not forget, as we mentioned at the top of the episode, that the US had a major fucking role to play in helping hide the secrets of the USSR, specifically, in the 50s, right after they were an ally to us. Like, yeah, of course, we get into it in a bare knuckle brawl with the Cold War, but there was a second there where we brushed under the rug all of their fucking atrocities.
Yeah. We let the British people bomb the Irish Nessie, and we were fucking cool with it, man. Like, atrocities left and right.
Oh, man. Oh, fucking man.
Dude, it's like it's the enemy you know, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
This is depressing. Like, I don't usually get like, ugh, after an episode, but like the banter has gone for me. I'm like, that's it. That's all we got.
Yeah. I don't have anything to say. I don't have anything positive or encouraging to say other than like when I don't know. In the darkness, terrible fucking things happen. Like when you aren't talking about what's happening around the world and to people and aren't talking about like the negatives and the positives and the realities, and like when you aren't speaking truth to circumstance, this is the type of shit that fucking happens. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
This is the type of shit that fucking happens. And if there's one lesson that everyone should learn, it's that, like, we can all sit here and check our privilege and say that, like, the United States has given us all of these comforts and luxuries, like us joking about what we're going to eat for lunch. But there is another thing that is the bleached and sanitized version of history that we get as US citizens. And I highly encourage and recommend everyone to look into things on their own, to cite other sources than, U.S. history's retelling of the truths of what happened. Because if there's anything that even our sticker war will tell us, is that the victors rewrite history, and that oftentimes means that we don't
You
get
miss
the
a lot.
correct
How
history.
dare you? If there's anything that we have learned from the sticker war, is that despite going up against what I would say represents the state and their social media following, even the little people can win. We just got to fight back.
Oh shit, fuck damn. Anyway, with that said, please support everything that Kelly fucking does for us, Wildwood Owl on Etsy. You can still get these stickers. I think we should still be giving proceeds to these charities. And you can also
100%.
get all of our other cool fucking merch that she makes. Please check her out. Support that shit. Get merch online. Links in bios. Support us on Patreon, even though we haven't done a Patreon while I'm in LA. I'll be back next week. And most importantly, as always, and especially today, hail fucking Satan.
Hail Diana's revenge dress. The true victor here. She'll protect us all.
Always has been.